Right then BMW guys, this is one for you. I have had the BMW stroker on a dyno, let's get straight to the point. And I have had, this is the third dyno we've done on it. If you watch my previous videos about the dyno results, you may have seen what's happened before. I'm going to summarise that. I'm also going to talk about a little bit of things that we've done to achieve the results that we've got. Why make you hang on? I hate all YouTube videos that make you hang on. So let's cut straight to the chase. We have made, on the dynamometer, different dynamometer this time because we now live up near Newcastle. I'm just going to look at the paperwork here and then I'll show you in a minute. We've made 208.43 wheel horsepower, which with the 15% transmission loss makes the car work out roughly at 245 crank horsepower. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pan the camera down a little minute. I'm going to show you the results. I'm going to compare them to the old ones so that you can get a little idea of, you know, the increases and what's happened and how it's changed. And then I just want to talk a little bit about that. Before I get to that, I just want to say I went to JM Imports in Newcastle and it was eye candy like you wouldn't believe. I'm kind of hoping Natalie's going to come in here with a couple of clips, maybe just some pictures of some of the stuff that was there. The guys there were brilliant. I will be going back and I think what I would like to do is do a few cosmetic changes to the E36 and then maybe try and tweak the tune a little bit. But with the numbers that I've got, I think I'm pretty happy with it and it's kind of where I wanted it to be after doing the stroker build. So I've, for want of a better word, I've hit my mark. I'm happy with it. All I really want to do now is kind of fine tune it. The torque I think could be increased, so I think we'll work on that. So let's get on and now showing you the result and I'll show you the comparison between the old results and the new one. This report here, this dyno report here, is the standard 328 with an M50 manifold, right? And that made down here 160.2 wheel horsepower, 188 crank, right? So that was a healthy M50 manifold swap on a healthy engine with a not so great tune that was maybe a little bit rich here, right, by yours truly. That could have made an extra 12 horsepower, I reckon, but people are telling you you're going to get 220 horsepower out of a stock 328 with a M50 manifold, I think are dreaming or have been on dynos which are a bit favourable, let's say. The first one we did with the stroker was this one here, and this one was 174.9 wheel horsepower, or 205.51 crank, and that tune was shite. As you can see, the AFRs went super rich. That's way down in the 10s, nearly hitting the 9s, at just past, you know, sort of maximum torque. This is the power curve, this is the torque curve here. So that was no good, but it was an improvement over the, you know, 188 crank horsepower that we had over here with the stock 328. Just not a very big one. We beat the DynoJet research with the GM Imports one. So this one here is 208.43 wheel horsepower, which I've just written up here just to make it look easy. This is 245.21 approximate flywheel horsepower with a 15% trans loss. Okay, so you can see that that's a vast improvement. Torque curve here is actually, what I was really happy is really consistent. So we had 208, 208, 207, 3 runs, one after another. Usual sort of power run stuff, guys. What you might notice here is the torque starts to drop off a little bit early for my liking. We're hitting, what's that, about, well, maximum torque, it tells you here, 4,780 revs. 4,710, 4,660, and then it diminishes quite quickly. I think by tuning the Vanos, I can move that band up a little bit higher and I can gain a little bit of torque there. Might not change the power output very much, but it should gain the torque. And then the power here maxes out at about 6,100, you can see here, 6,100, 6,850, just under 6 grand. So the way I've got the cam set up, it brings the torque in quite early. You know what I mean? The torque here is reasonable, so about 180 right up to this point where we get a little step up to about, what, 190, something like that. And then it keeps increasing up to here. But it leaves me with a little bit to tweak. But as we say, we've hit 245 fly, which is kind of where we want it to be from the start and after the build is made. So there you go. That is the new dyno result. A vast improvement over these last couple that we had, especially the one with the dodgy FRs. Sadly, they didn't have a wideband in the exhaust here, and I didn't log it. So what I will do next time I go, I will put a wideband in the exhaust. Well, I've got a wideband fitted to it, and I'll be taking FR readings. But Oh, Howard's come up for a little hello. We will, I'll log the actual wideband's, but the operator said that we were hitting the 12s right at the very top of the rev range, so I'm happy with that. 12.5's about, you know, as rich as you want it. So, what's made the difference then? Well, you've seen, I hope you've seen my video on tuning the car. I will admit, I've gone a lot of steps forwards and a lot of steps back, but the main things I've learned are, I played around with ignition timing to the point where I was getting my knock readings, okay? Now, I've got to the point now where if I increase the ignition timing by a degree or a half a degree, pretty much anywhere on the map, I start to get knock retard happening. So I'm pretty happy that I'm at the limit of the ignition timing of the car. That said, I've not dyno tuned it, and there's areas of the map that would benefit from a little bit better ignition timing. To be fair though, they're only really going to affect the regular running of the car. They're not going to affect, you know, something like a power run where you're just flat out and you're running the whole way through the revs. That bit is actually quite easy to tune. It's all the rest of it that's the difficult bit. It's the smoothness of it, it's getting the idle right, all the rest of that kind of rubbish. So I'm happy with ignition timing. One of the things that I managed to do that I found I think might have had an effect on things was the angle of the fuel injectors in the intake manifold. So one of the ways we started to deal with problems like that is I was looking at them one day and I thought, you know what, they don't look like they're sitting happy for me. I run the M52 fuel rail with the Volvo injectors, if you've seen my videos, but on an M50 manifold. And I don't really know how to describe it. If we use this crude analogy of my Dr. Pepper bottle and my vape pen, my fuel injectors looked, to my eyes, like they were sitting at too high an angle, right? And they should have been sitting more acute in the intake manifold. The reason I thought that is because the port that they sit in and the body of the injector didn't look quite parallel. That could be a problem, because if you're atomizing the fuel and it's going straight into the intake manifold runner and hitting the wall of the intake manifold and not going down into the port, you're going to lose some of that atomization. You get basically wet fuel running down the intake manifold. So I've adjusted the angle of those injectors ever so slightly with my M50 manifold rail. A bit of Heath Robinson stuff going on here, guys. You know, there's no real exact science. It was just an eyeball. You know, can I get them to an angle I'm happier with them? And that seemed to make quite a big difference with the way that I was getting knock adaptions and stuff. In other words, it looked like it was running a little bit richer than it needed to be, so I played around with the maps after that. Basically, you're just trying to get a really good spray of fuel going into the intake manifold runner and make sure it gets all the way down to the back of the valves before it starts to hit anything really crucial, and you don't get like loads of wet fuel running down in there. And then we did a few other things with the fueling and the ignition timing map. The main problem with the fueling that I've mentioned before, I think, in videos, but to cover it for you, is the Siemens DME has got a system built into it called catalyst overheating protection, which is like, how do I describe it? It basically dumps fuel into the map to cool the catalyst if you're running on high revs and high power for a long time. It's not that clever though, so it tends to just dump fuel in even when you're not running for a long time. It's not kind of time defined. So what was happening was I was reducing the fueling in the car. When I went to do like a power run, like a flat out run in the third gear or something like that, or a run in the dyno, the catalyst overheating protection kicks in and enriches the fuel mixture, completely separate of the base fuel map and the wide open throttle fuel map, and that was creating this really rich situation. So that had to go. Now it's not gone completely, but it's a bit of balance. And what I mean by that, hang on, is you've got a multitude of different ways that the car adapts fuel. You've got the base fuel map, you've got the wide open throttle enrichment map, you've got catalyst overheating protection, you've got another catalyst thing that comes in, which is a catalyst warm-up function. That I don't run on my car because I, quite frankly, don't care if I burn the catalyzer out. It's not going to need to last me 20 years. It's been around 20 years already, so shit happens, man. You know, if it ends up dying on me, then so be it. I'd rather, you know, learn from the power gains than have a car which is, you know, mediocre. This is what tuning's about. It's about learning, okay, well, BMW put all these things in to, you know, improve reliability, give better ride quality, make the car smoother and easier. It's like any kind of tuning, guys. You know, you leave your stock suspension on, your car is comfortable, right? It's going to get less comfortable if you go towards being a race car. So if you upgrade the suspension, you put stiffer ball joints and bushes and all the rest of it in, you sacrifice a bit of drivability. That's the name of the game. It's pushing it as far as you want to push it within your comfort level to gain what you want to gain from it. And it's not always about building a race car. You know, with the Mitsubishi that we've got, We've been considering going to spherical bearings and bushes because we don't drive it on the road. We can then suffer the uncomfortableness because it gains us more on track. Anyway, it's a whole other ballgame. So it's the same with tuning the engine. There's a myriad of different functions which allow it to run smoother, for longer, keep cooler, blah, 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 blah. So yes, catalyst overheating protection got reduced. That gave us a much leaner fuel condition. I tuned the fuel again. I have actually gone back to removing the MAF extension because although I'm maxing out, or I think I'm maxing out the MAF, I had a big problem when I tried to rescale the MAF tables. For those of you who don't really understand what I'm talking about, the MAF is a piece of equipment which records how much air is coming into the engine, and that's crucial to allow the engine to adapt the fuel to deal with what air is coming in. There's a kind of workaround that you can do where you can adjust the MAF tabling so that it can see more air coming in. Ergo, I've got a stroker, it pulls more air in. Can my current MAF record reliably the amount of air that's coming in? Now, I'm not running into a lean condition when I get to the maximum rev range. And I believe, I think I'm right in saying that normally that would be an indicator that the MAF is beginning to get to the point where it can't record how much fuel is coming in efficiently. Therefore, I need to extend the range of that MAF to be able to do that. I'm not really having that problem. Although the MAF does get to its maximum value at the end of my rev range, I don't think at the moment I've got a lot to gain by changing that. And I tried to do it and I had problems with it. So I'd rather stick to what I know right now, you know, stay off the curbs, stay on the grey stuff, and you know, run it straight down the middle of the line. So now we've got this result. I'm happy as Larry with the car. What's next for it? If you watch my channel and you've seen I've got the Honda thing going on, we've also got the Mitsubishi thing. We've got our fingers in loads of pies, but it doesn't mean we're going to stop playing with any one of them. The BMW now really needs a cosmetic tidy up. I believe I'm leaking coolant into the cabin. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I am still, which is really bugging me. I want to be pulling the carpets out and checking for that. I've got some door card work that needs done. Fucking door cards, man. And then I just want to give it a really good cosmetic tidy up, and I still want to do the bodywork on it. Now, I need bumpers for that, I need side rubbers and all sorts of other stuff. But, you know, she looks tired, man. You know, she looks okay in pictures, but when you see her up close, there's a lot of lacquer problems beginning to happen, all sorts of other kind of crap. Now I've got the engine to a place where I'm pretty happy with it. I don't feel the massive urge to go and keep, you know, going down the rabbit hole and pushing myself to get it just a little bit better. It's basically where I expected it to be. So I'm chuffed with that. Let's focus on bodywork, cosmetics, maintenance things. I've got power steering leak again. My God, man. Anyone on an E36 out there, share my pain. Power steering leaks. Fuck, man. They just get in the way. So yes, we're going to look forward to the future with keeping things, going back to the early stages of the channel where we're looking at the cosmetic bits, getting her looking nice and tidy, and just enjoying her. You're going out and cruising in her. That's what I really like to do. I love driving the car around the Pennines up here in the north of England, and you know, I just want to get out and enjoy it a little bit more. I've got my little Honda to come up for next year and be a little beastie. She's going to get me through the winter, but the BMW is just sitting there, nice and warm, staying happy. As always, guys, give me some input down below. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your input, and I really appreciate your support. I get a lot of lovely comments, and thank you guys out there for that. For now, that's it. One stroker video, put to bed with a third dyno. More to come in the future. For now, it's Pamo out.